I was not aware of the words. So I was liking the beat and I was saying the words, but I didn't mean what I was saying, number one. So it was just, okay, I like the song, like the person, okay, cool, it's whatever. And then eventually I realized that person's music contributed to my struggle with pornography and masturbation. What's poppin', people? Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about how to know if God wants you to do something or not do something, especially those things that are not really mentioned in the Bible like that. Like, is it a sin to go to a party? Is it a sin to dance? Is it a sin to listen to this kind of music? Is it a sin to get a tattoo? Like, when you don't have those concrete answers like the 10 Commandments or whatever, that's when things you feel like are in the gray area, and it's really not in the gray area. It just completely depends on you and your relationship with the Lord. But before we get into the meat of this video and the more elaboration, I'm going to remind you guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share it with a friend who you feel needs it, because I think everyone does. I know I did. And we're going to get started. So have any of you guys heard that expression, you know, life is not black and white, there's a lot of gray area, or things aren't just concrete? And I've always been that person to be like, yes it is, the Bible says yes or no. Like, it's very written, it's in the Bible, that's what we're going off of. I can be that person all day long. But I've had to recently, you know, I'm still working on it, but I've recently realized that I guess you could say some things are in the gray area, just because everything isn't the same for everyone, which really goes back to the video I posted last week on Friday talking about what makes sin a sin, and what can be a sin for you in your life right now may not be a sin for somebody else. Talking about those things that are specifically written as a sin. I'm not talking about the 10 Commandments or anything like that. I'm talking about the parties, the music, the dancing, the tattoos, like, I'm talking about those things. So the reason that I say that it could kind of be, like, you could say in a gray area is because when you're doing certain things or when you're dealing with certain people, everyone is raised differently. So yes, we're all Christians, or yes, we're trying to get our life together and we serve the same God. But at the end of the day, the way we're raised is completely different. Like, the countries we're raised in, the states we're raised in, everything is different. So what may seem appropriate to us may not seem appropriate to somebody in Jamaica or to somebody in Africa or what have you. Like, the way they dress may be appropriate for them, but may not be appropriate for us. So it really just depends on the person and the motive. The motive. Like, if your motive is wrong, if you're dressing a certain way to get like attention, or you're saying certain things just because it's the cool thing, that is when it becomes sinful, because now you're acting and operating out of your flesh, and we all know the flesh is very sinful. So I was asked recently a question on Pinterest asking if majorette dancing was a sin. Now, my first response, or what I wanted to say, I didn't say, but what I wanted to say was no, it's not a sin, because you're not doing it for any malicious reason as far as I know. You're doing it because you actually like dancing and it's something fun and it's part of the HBCU culture. Now, I didn't say that because I did want to do my research on dancing in the Bible, and as I did my research, again, there is no concrete yes to this type of dancing, no of this type of dancing. There are really no specifics to it. So that's why I say it's really dependent on your relationship and the motive behind what you are doing to be able to determine if it is a sin or not. When it comes to like just dancing on a team, the type of dancing you're doing, is God give you leeway if that's like, you know, you're just your profession, you're nothing by it. That's going to be entirely dependent on your relationship, because whereas maybe someone can do majorette dancing and they can dance on a team where they're doing different styles of dance as a way of an expression and for sport, and this particular person, they can handle it. Like, they're not going to get enticed into going into the world, or they're not going to get so caught up in that, okay, I start dancing, now I want to go to the clubs, and now I want to try this and hang out with this person. Like, they're not going to do that. Whereas somebody else, they might be a little bit more weak-minded, a little bit, you know, more influenced by other things, and where they can't handle doing certain things or being around certain people because their spirit, who they are, they can't handle it. And that is where, again, your relationship is going to come into play. So if you're deciding you want to be a dancer, or you want to sing music or whatever, or what have you, and you're doing it, nothing malicious behind it, you're doing it because that's just something you genuinely love doing, you're doing it maybe to inspire others or to motivate others, or for dancing reasons, you're doing it to get fit. Like, I personally don't feel like there's anything wrong with that. Again, that's all in your relationship, but I don't think there's anything wrong with it, because again, the motive isn't wrong, the motive isn't selfish, it's not self-seeking, it's not to draw attention to yourself, it's strictly, you know, probably something more therapeutic for you, and hopefully you have a conversation with the Lord, and the Lord said, yeah, this is okay. Now, if you're trying to do it because you want to be popular, or that's the cool thing to do, or I want to get this guy's attention, or I want to get this girl's attention, what have you, that is when it becomes sinful, because now you're operating out of flesh, and we all know you get nothing good comes out of operating out of flesh. Like, nothing good comes from that. So that is definitely a relational thing, and that is why people say life is not black and white, because again, my advice on it may not fit you, because who you are as a person is different from who I am as a person. Whereas I can probably handle it, you probably cannot. That's just how the world is. Whew, tattoos. Is getting a tattoo a sin? I made a video on Pinterest and TikTok saying that it is, strictly off of the verse in Leviticus. And I've done more research since then, and I changed my mind. Or I got a recent revelation where my mind and my thought process behind it isn't the same, and getting a tattoo is not a sin. Again, it goes back to your motive. Like, if your motive is just because it looks cool, like, I can't stand people say, oh, because it looks cool, like, you're marking your body because it looks cool, like, really? Okay. But if that's your motive, or again, peer pressure, or your motive is, oh, well, this person wants me to get it, or my significant other likes people with tattoos, like, that's when it becomes a sin, because your motive is wrong. Now, if I have a tattoo, and the reason that I have a tattoo was I used to be that Christian that thought tattoos were just the devil, and I'm going to hell, and I'm like marking my body. Like, I was that person, okay? And thank the Lord for growth. But through the growth, I realized that getting a tattoo was very personal for me. It had nothing to do with anyone else. I don't even care if anyone ever sees it. It's not for them. And my tattoo says, she is perfectly imperfect. And that was because at that time, I had this unrealistic pressure on myself to be a perfect person and to just never mess up. I've said on here, like, my guilty conscience was 100, and I would just beat myself up all the time. I would think God's gonna remove his hand off of me. I would be scared to pray at times, just because I felt like, because I messed up, because I was being human, grace and mercy is gonna run out. And once the Lord worked in me and worked on me, and I heard sermon after sermon kind of reassured me that his grace and mercy is sufficient, and someone actually prophesied to me, simply all she said over and over again was, be human, and I knew exactly what that meant. That is when I got the tattoo that says she is perfectly imperfect, because I needed that. I need that reminder. It was, I don't know what it is about getting the ink on you. I don't know if it's because it's permanent or whatever, but when I did get it, it was more of like, oh my gosh, I did it. I did it. I'm not perfect. And I don't know if the tattoo subconsciously is making it seem like, okay, I don't have a perfect body because this is here. Like, I don't know, but it's very personal to me, and the motive wasn't wrong for me, because it's for me. I don't care if anyone ever sees it in life. Like, it's not for you, specifically for me. I had a conversation with the Lord about it. I had peace with it. Got a good deal on a tattoo. Like, I'm okay. And again, it's going to be very personal, and your motive behind why you're getting something is going to play a part in if it's a sin for you or not. All right, parties and listening to certain music. Again, personal to you. Certain artists, as we know recently, you just shouldn't listen to. Certain artists who make it very obvious that they're Satan worshipers, or they're very demonic, or they have no respect for other human beings. Like, okay, clearly you shouldn't have to ask the question if it's sinful. Listen to them like it is. Just don't do that. But for other artists who was like, okay, their music really isn't Christian, and sometimes they curse, but then what they're saying necessarily isn't bad, or they don't have any malicious intent behind it. Like, certain artists like that. That is all on you. There used to be an artist I was able to listen to for a long time that I was just like a huge fan of, and I love the music all the time. And now I do not. And it was only because at that time I was not aware of the words. So I was liking the beat, and I was saying the words, but I didn't mean what I was saying, number one. So it was just, okay, I like the song, like the person, okay, cool, it's whatever. And then eventually I realized that person's music contributed to my struggle with pornography and masturbation, because it was sexual music. And even though I'm not having sex, the words that I was saying, what I was listening to, was feeding my spirit sexual thoughts, and listening to this, and like curiosity peaked and all those things, because I didn't know anything. And that is when I would say listening to that person for me became sinful, because I knew at that point all right, this music is not good for me. This music is not feeding my spirit. This music is leading me down this path that I do not want to go. So for me, listening to that person is a sin. Not every song, but some songs. So I just try my best to stay away, period, because listen to one thing, like, oh, I remember this song, let me go back. And then you go back and you're just like, I'm not supposed to do this. Like, you know, so I guess it's just best to veer away if you're aware. But it definitely depends on who you are as a person. There are artists that I listen to who are not Christian artists, but their music is positive and their music isn't harmful, their music isn't degrading, their music isn't like demonic in any way. It's just feel good, fun music, and nothing really happens to my spirit when I listen to them. So again, it's all on you. Same with going to a party. I can go to a party. I don't like parties, so I don't go, but I could go, and I know I have that personality where I can just handle myself, and I'm not going to be influenced to do anything I don't want to do. And I'm not an easily influenced person. I'm pretty like tough-minded, and I'm pretty set in my ways, in a good way. Like if I see myself, I will change, but in a good way. Like I'm not easily influenced by people. I don't give in to peer pressure. My no is a no. Like I know I can handle myself. I don't like parties, but if I were to go, I'm aware that this really isn't going to do much for me, or this isn't going to tip me into doing anything, because one, I don't want to be here if I'm there, and two, that's just my personality and who I am. But everyone isn't like that. Everyone isn't strong-minded. Everyone is not able to not give in to peer pressure easily. Some people are a little bit more susceptible to being influenced and doing the wrong thing, just simply out of curiosity, or they're trying to fit in. Like that's just where you are. That's just where you are at this point, and that's perfectly okay. You just have to be aware of who you are. And that is why I say in my previous videos, ask yourself the hard questions, ask yourself the motive, check yourself, because that's going to give you a lot of insight into one, who you are and what you can handle, and the Lord's going to be able to work with you in your honesty way more than you in your denial. So I really hope this video was helpful for you guys. I hope I helped give some clarity on the little gray areas in the Bible. It kind of sucks to call it a gray area, but it's literally, again, only a gray area because everybody is different. So what I can handle, you may not be able to handle. What's a sin for me in certain areas, I'm not talking about the 10 Commandments, but what's a sin for me may not be a sin for you. So I hope it made it clear. If it didn't, if you still have more questions, if you want me to elaborate on some more things, let me know in the comments. I do respond. You can DM me on Instagram, DM me on Pinterest, DM me on TikTok, message me however you feel, and I will do my best to respond and make videos based off of what you guys want to know. Because I know a lot of times when it comes to being a Christian, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to make sure we get it right, to make sure we're not sinning, to make sure that, you know, we're right in God's eyes. And if we're not careful, we're putting that like awful perfectionist stigma on ourselves, and it just makes the walk a lot harder when you're constantly, you know, down on yourself, making yourself feel guilty and holding yourself back at the end of the day, because God put us on this world to live right, but also to have fun. He doesn't want us to be stuck in like, you know, a box somewhere, staying away from the world. If anything, he wants us to reach the world by our walk with him and by how we live our life. So he most definitely wants us to live our best life. Keep that in mind. Again, hope you guys liked this video. If you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment down below, share it with a friend who needs this revelation, who needs help. I know this video was going to help a lot of people. It helped me. I convict myself before I convict y'all, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye.